Hey everyone, Rushlock here, and as always, if you want the latest news, tips, and tricks for EVE Online, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below, and if those guides and news and tips and tricks are helpful, consider hitting the super thanks button as well. Now let's get into it. We've got day one keynote summary here for you. Some of you won't be able to watch it, some of you will have a better use have them read to you, so let's dive in. We've got FanFest is here. Future-facing Capsuleers, oh man, they're starting off right from the top. It's all in the future, baby. Having watched the keynote, it was an hour and a half. It was about an hour and change of looking backward, but then we're going to introduce this as future-facing Capsuleers. After a 4-year wait, today marked the first day of the return of FanFest, and it's already shaping up to be a truly memorable one. Today, the vision of the future of EVE Online was revealed in the FanFest 2022 keynote presentation. A selection of CCP developers shone a light on how EVE will move resolutely into the third decade with some exciting plans ahead. If you want to watch the keynote in full from the comfort of your own home, you can click this link to watch the VOD from CCP TV here. If you're after the highlights, below are some of the major updates and announcements from the keynote. Narrative arcs and expansions. A new narrative approach to development is being introduced through arcs that allow you to participate in the story and directly impact New Eden and influence new features. You can expect a number of exciting updates and changes down the road as a story of the first arc unfolds over the next few months with plenty for players to discover and unlock. We're also moving towards reintroducing expansions back into EVE, with the first expected to arrive in the fourth quarter of 2022. So to unpack that a little bit, they're getting away from the quadrant system, they're going back to the expansion system that they had before, and they're going to use something called arcs to kind of introduce through lore and story kind of like the forward moving toward content. They don't want to drop content in the game. And when I say content, new tools, new activities, new gameplay. They don't want to just patch it in. They want to have both a narrative reason for it, and they've also talked about having player interaction kind of shape and influence. I got the impression kind of like the Triglavian thing, where anyone who thought Trigs weren't going to take 27 systems no matter what were fooling themselves. Players got to pick what systems were taken. But CCP always had like an overall arcing idea of what direction they wanted to get to, or destination to reach at some point. Next up, we have factional warfare on the horizon. So you're going to see a lot of language talking about things happening in the future as nothing's happening right now. Factional warfare has always been an incredible part of EVE Online that has consistently yielded amazing player-driven stories. Going forward, making factional warfare even better will be a primary focus for CCP through future updates, expansions, plural, and more. Through a carefully planned narrative, story, and player-driven events, we will use factional warfare as a vehicle to bring updates to many areas of the game. Many of those are designed to spill out into other areas, such as structure mechanics, territory control, new ships, modules, and balance updates. Even brand new activities both inside of factional warfare and beyond. We are planning to update how players declare their allegiance in factions to EVE. We will be introducing a new allegiance system, allowing pilots to participate in factional warfare content, potentially even without having to leave their current corporations. We're also planning to continue updating and making changes to the deployment and use and role of structures beyond the latest Siege Green update coming on the 10th of May, including within the zones of factional warfare. So that was something they talked about during the live keynote, was working toward allowing people to get in and out of faction warfare without having to drop their own personal corp and alliance standings. New plans for the Frontline system. We are looking to add more meaning to the geography of factional warfare space by introducing new Frontline systems. Areas and systems that border on enemy territories will be declared frontlines and be clearly marked in the game so that you can easily keep track of where the action is unfolding. Those front lines will also offer increased rewards for pilots that scramble to help, and potentially even new, unique content. So let's finish the article part. The work on Frontlines is still in an early exploratory phase, but there will be more to share tomorrow at the EVE A Living Universe presentation at 1100 UTC. Be sure to tune in on CCP TV. They're going to live stream it during the live presentation. So the presentation itself goes into much more detail, but the basic concept is the frontline systems, the bordering systems of opposing factions, will have these kind of bonuses. And I'm not sure what they mean by increased rewards, because nerds typically won't make more effort without sizable rewards. Now, being PvP oriented, you'll have people who are just happy out there having something to shoot at. But the rewards have to be significant enough to entice certain nerds to come out and do more than just crap like they do in current faction warfare now. Let's move on to heralding in a new era of identity and social interaction. This is something people have been asking for a long time. You will soon be able to display your unique identity and loyalty proudly on your ships and hangars through Alliance logos, visual changes to your ship, holograms that reflect your social standings, kill marks, structure skins, and other customizations attainable through Interbus credits, a new in-game currency. Interbus credits can only be earned in-game. They can never be traded between characters, sold, and do not have a fixed exchange rate to any other currencies. So what they want to talk about there was, my impression of it was basically guild quests. But obviously in EVE it would be something corporation-based, both player and NPC-based possibly, and you gain these currencies to then trade for the rewards that they described. Evolving the new player experience. Welcoming new players to EVE Online continues to be a long-term focus with a lot of exciting updates on the horizon. A new exploration arc will be added to the NPE in early fall 2022, marking the third installment in the story that welcomes the Star Cluster's freshest pilots. We're also overhauling the career agents, introducing a new Air Career program to help new players get into their EVE career. There's also been significant work put towards skill plans in EVE, with the introduction of certified skill plans with the ability to create corporation skill plans coming at the end of 2022. There are also some exciting changes that will benefit veterans as well, including a rebalancing of all skills, removal of character attributes, and a complete overhaul of learning implants. Tune in for a deeper dive on this at 1200 UTC on the main stage on Saturday. So, touching on this one, I guess as a personal aside and a personal bias and a personal shill, I hope I get some messages about this one, because I can't tell you how many hundreds of people I have directly guided through being a new player, getting into Explo, and seeing the hangups of different people and different personalities, and what hurdles they mostly trip over. So it'll be interesting to see how that one develops. It's coming in a few months, so I imagine the mostly polished and most design is finished, but we'll see how it turns out. Welcoming Spanish-speaking players to EVE. To give new and existing Spanish-speaking pilots an experience tailored to their language, a Spanish version of EVE Client is incoming. The first patch introducing early support for Spanish will launch in September, with full version available in the winter of 2022. So they want to do like kind of like the Photon thing. They want to launch early, get some feedback from you guys, and adjust as needed. Next up, Spreadsheets in Space, EVE, and Microsoft collaboration. We're leaning into the phrase Spreadsheets in Space by partnering with Microsoft on a project revolving around democratization, words are hard, of data in EVE Online. Soon we'll even be releasing an all-new extension that feeds data from EVE directly into Excel without any technical experience needed. We look forward to sharing the prototype for this project later this year. Next up is Capsuleer Chronicles, hardcover coming. The Capsuleer's Chronicles second issue is out now and free to download. We'll have 2 more issues coming out this year, with the hardcover for all 4 issues is expected at the end of the year. Pre-orders are available now. Randomly, this is of personal interest. I love comic books, grew up on them. This is something that I've been interested in, that they were doing an EVE comic, but I wasn't putting a high prioritization on reading even the free issues because it was all digital, and I'm old, and I want physical copies. But now we get an option for a hardcover later on for collecting all 4 issues. That's awesome. I'll almost certainly be picking it up. I guess we can take a peek and see what the price is for the pre-order, right? Some of you might want to know. Read over here, a couple of issues. It does not in any way take us to, oh, here we go, pre-order your hardcover. What's it going to be? Punch in your zip code. Where do you want to buy it from? I'm not seeing a price here. Buy on Amazon. Maybe they'll tell us. $25 for a hardcover? Not bad. Kind of what I expected there. Modernizing EVE for the next decade. The FanFest 2022 Keynote also included a number of other announcements that plot out the next decade of EVE Online. We are continuing to put a great deal of effort into modernizing EVE Online through significant improvements to the UI. We're excited to continue to improve Photon UI, and we're also continuing to explore other UI elements, such as allowing multiple overviews. We're investing heavily in improving the overall visual and audio experience of EVE Online. Multiple visual enhancements are planned that will improve the look and experience of EVE, including high-resolution nebula, level of detail optimizations, new particle effects, and a stunning new docking animations will ensure that New Eden becomes an even more stunningly beautiful place. This is being backed with technical support through upcoming Fidelity FX integration. improving performance for medium and low-end machines, bringing a more beautiful Eve to all. They showed a lot during the actual keynote presentation. If you want to go back and look in the video, some of it looks very promising. This was one of more of the highlights of the keynote, in my opinion, which is a bit strange considering there was much more expectation for content being released. On to day 2. There will be plenty more presentations, developer interviews, announcements, and more as FanFest continues on that you can catch live on CCP TV. Be sure to tune in because we've got lots more to share with you. And in closing, here's a special message from Chairman Akameke Sakari, I'm not going to even try these names, Soraki, chair of the Chief Executive Panel and head of the state of Caldari. They showed this trailer in the keynote as well. You can press play and watch it at your leisure. But that was it for the Keystone announcements. For those of you that have been paying attention recently, there was a price hike or price increase announced going live May 17th. And once that announcement went out, CCP Paragon hopped on an open comm session with a bunch of people on the official Discord for EVE Online for FanFest and kind of addressed it going, guys, there's no good way to package this, but wait until FanFest and you hear all the announcements. This could potentially be the biggest update ever being announced. I'm paraphrasing. You can find the direct quotes on the subreddit, probably anywhere at this point. You're seeing quoted a lot of places right now. But yeah, the keynote did not deliver any content announcements in anything resembling a relevant timeline. The one exception is in relation to the ARCs. The ARCs did say, in the coming months. Let me see if I can find the actual quote for you. Here we go. So the expansion is confirmed for 4th quarter. I thought there was a line back here saying something about in the coming months. Yeah, here we go. As a story of the first arc unfolds over the next few months. So that's my 1 to 3 months right there. This is what we could see as the first arc. But for those that came in with the understandably high expectations for the keynote announcements, this was a big dud. It fell absolutely thudded to the ground. It'll be interesting to hear from people who actually were at FanFest and at the keynote and get their perception on this and their feedback. But that's the notes. The link to this post will also be in the description down below the video. And again, as a reminder, if you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button down below for all the latest updates on news, tips, tricks, and guides for EVE Online. And until next time, stay safe.